Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning at 6:04 a.m. It's Bobby at Bobby's Hobbies. I've got my coffee in my bat mug. Not the Batman mug, but the bat mug for Halloween. So, jolt to that. What are we making today? We're going to make waffles. So we've got our pancake mix in there, which is just as good for waffles. And I'm doing this by eye. Pour some milk in there. Probably going to have to add some water as well. And because it's waffles, not pancakes, we're going to add some of this delicious, cardiovascularly healthy canola oil. Probably not. Yeah. Put some of that in there. And, wer ist der Whisker? I don't see a whisker. Oh well. I don't know where it is right now. Let's try to mix this up a bit. You know, not as the main liquid, but just as I do need some fat. Yeah, there we go. So let me cover that. It's probably the end for that, meaning that I need it for this. Let me put the eggs. Wow, these are noisy. Throw that in there for now. All right. I'll be right back. All right, well, now we're here. We've mixed this up. We got the whisk. We found it. And we add a little more water, a little more milk, till we got it just the right consistency. This is good consistency because it's still thick, but it flows. And that's what you need. You need it to flow. If it doesn't flow, you're never going to get it down into this machine. Now, we have to move this bowl aside a little bit. Got to make sure this has a clear path to open, and we have to butter it up. See that? All those cliches, hey, butter her up, and this and that. They have an origin. Maybe it's all for making waffles. Butter up the pan. All right, now, got to do the ladle magic. Don't need to quite fill it up to the top, but because you're going to have some spillage. It's very hard to avoid total spillage. See, it just keeps wanting to spill. Definitely need another ladle. See, I'm trying to avoid all that spillage, but so 2 ladles in seems to be all it should take. Let's hope. That was relatively clean. Relatively clean. It's almost impossible to have no spillage. But it's easier to get this off when it's wet than when it's baked on. See, here it's hotter. So smells good, that's for sure. So it took about 2 ladles. Let's see if we make a full waffle with 2 ladles. It should, because of that. See, it steamed up the glass, the lens, but The one time I made the batter too thick, and what happened is it poured in, and then it splashed in, and there was like a hole in the center, like caverns, and it came out. It wasn't complete, but by making sure it's liquefied, it should fill up the inside of this thing uniformly. Now it's set on heat 4, so that should be enough to cook it where it's starting to get toasty but not totally well done. But you don't know until you get it going. Now the butter's in there so that it doesn't stick, even though it's got a non-stick surface. It adds a little flavor. See that steam billowing out? That is the water that was put into the batter. It's coming out as steam. That's the water that was in the milk. Pretty amazing. A lot of science going on here. Chemistry at Bobby's Hobbies at 6:16 a.m. Now, if I were to open it now, it would probably be still blobby in there. So I don't think that's a good idea. It's like being a mad scientist. Well, things are good in the sports world around here. In these parts, you got the Mets winning, which is unbelievably great. You got the Yankees winning, which is equally wonderful. They haven't been sniffing close to a World Series in, geez, like 15 years. Well, maybe not. Yeah, no, 15 years. 2009. So, pretty close. So, and then today, although neither team's going anywhere near the Super Bowl, you got the Dallas Cowboys at Pittsburgh, which harkens back to the ancient heroes of the 70s and the 90s when they met in the Super Bowl. I'm still upset about Super Bowl 13. Jackie Smith dropped the ball. The ref got in the way, blocked so that Franco Harris could go in for the touchdown. A lot of weird plays. But the mighty Steelers endure, and so do the Cowboys. But when will the Cowboys be good again? I don't really, in a weird way, I like the Steelers to do well. It would be, the greatest for me would be to see the Cowboys beat the Steelers in a Super Bowl again. Like the last time they won Super Bowl 30. Wow, long ago. But who knows? Who knows? Is the steel curtain rusty, or is it back to full strength? They got a lot of good players on defense, that's for sure. So let's see now. This thing beeped. Oh, I got lost in football, and the waffle came out great. So let's butter her up again. Let's butter her up again. Load the machine. So we need 2 scoops. Wow, look at that. That came out pretty damn good. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. So let's see this one go. That is a neat looking waffle. Look at that. That's at level 4. I think level 5 would be too much. I think it would be starting to be burnt. I think that came out really good, really well. So I'm not even sure the baseball schedule, if they play today. I'm assuming they do, but I could be wrong. Hey, the Dodgers won, but these are best of 5, so there's a lot of baseball left. No guarantee who's winning and who's getting in there. And Kansas City could bounce back easily. Unfortunately, so could the Phillies. So, but there's something special about those Mets this year. They've been playing their butts off. And I'm not like a typical fan. I like the Yankees and the Mets. It's New York, and that's because at different times as a kid, I rooted for different. Oh, I'm rooting for the Mets. Oh, I'm rooting for the Yankees. I said, why can't I root for both? Now, if they both got to the World Series, then it becomes like an emotional roller coaster. The Yankees would get their 28th World Series. That would be astounding. The Mets would finally win, but then they beat the Yankees. That would be tough. I mean, I guess I'm a little more slightly more partial to the Yankees than the Mets, but I still love the Mets. So, in a way, they've only been to 5 World Championships. They won in '69 and '86, and they lost, I think it was '73. Then right to the Oakland Athletics. And they lost to the Yankees, and they lost to Kansas City. Right, so, it'd be kind of easy to want to just see the Mets win. But it'd be easier if the Mets won and it wasn't beating the Yankees. So, I mean, I guess if I had to pick my druthers, I'd have the Mets win this year just so they finally win something. And the Yankees win next year. But if the Yankees get there, I don't know. It's going to be hard to root against my beloved Yankees. So, yeah, but I feel bad for the Mets. That's the problem. But it's just sports, fortunately. It's not something like other serious things going on in the world. Now, this one looks pretty good. We should be wow, that's hot. We should be so grateful and thankful that we're talking about sports here and not bombs falling on us. And I don't know, I feel terrible about the situation in the world. It seems that the only lasting truth is that might makes right. And if you don't have might, it doesn't matter if you're right. So I think the only thing that'll stop wars is if we get invaded by an alien force. And everyone will say, oh shoot, we're going to have to stick together because otherwise we're going to be lunch. Very sad. But that's the way things look. That's how bleak things are. Wow, these waffles look damn good, gotta say. Now we can have them with maple syrup, we can have them with blueberries. You just put some powdered sugar if I could find it. Yeah, I gotta find the powdered sugar. Well, all right. So you can see that's how we make the waffles, and let's see if this one comes out well or good, just like those. See, the waffle iron is also nice and hot, so you can rely on that number 4 temperature. You see that says number 4. Now you could put it 2 or 1, but 1's got to be. I don't even know what you get with 1. You get like it'd be probably raw. And of course, you got all these little walls and separate sections. They probably have a name. I wonder what the names are for the waffling in the waffles. The waffle dents, the waffle formation. But they're sure good to cup and hold the syrup and other things. Unless it's got a hole in it like that one. But this looks like it's slightly less in there than the others. See that? Dun, dun, dun. Someone watches my videos and comments that I whistle nicely when I call the deer. But I don't know. To me, it sounds kind of shrill when I go. I don't know. Does that really sound good? I don't know. The deer like probably saying, "What is that annoying sound?" That's why they turn their heads. What is that annoying sound? But then I guess they kind of associate it with getting a free carrot. So, where is Super Dog? Uh-oh. Oh, there you are. What are you doing out there? Want to come have a waffle? Yum, 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 yum. Okay, well, that's good. She didn't get lost. It's cold out there today. She saw a fox once out there, and that was it. Now she thinks it's her friend, and she always is waiting for the fox to come back. Oh, look at that. Interesting, missed a spot. As you can see, all that batter doesn't make that many waffles. Wow, that's actually kind of scary. I can see this one's not full. Wow. I don't know why this one's taking up so much waffle mixture. Anybody watching the Rings on Prime, but the Lord of the Rings? You know what? It's in some ways it's wonderful, in some ways it's awful. It's wonderful in the sense that the characters, the costumes, the acting, they're all being who they're supposed to be. The sets, the special effects, some things they got perfectly right, like waking up the Balrog in Moria in Khazad-dûm. That was great. So they had some great things, but why did they make so much stuff up out of thin air? The Mithril was never a magical thing that was formed by a Balrog fighting a Vala and the tree turned its sap into Mithril. I mean, they made so much stuff up that wasn't just awful, And although it was interesting, I'm not sure his name wasn't Azog, but it sounded similar. But the orc who was like one of the first orcs, turned by Morgoth, that was an interesting side story. I'm going to give them credit with that, even though that was totally whole cloth and made up. But that was at least interesting, and he was more like an elf than anything else. That was actually interesting. Now, killing Sauron didn't happen that way. That didn't make sense. But nevertheless, at least that was interesting. Not part of the story, and that was not Tolkien's ideas, but Tolkien is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to recreate, especially since when everyone reads the books, you imagine it your own way. That's why Peter Jackson's version of The Lord of the Rings was so astounding, because so many people who had that imagination in their mind came out of there saying, that was it. It was great. But it's very hard. So, look, let's at least be grateful that this guy Bezos is a Lord of the Rings fan, and he put a lot of money into making it. So I look at it as a series of vignettes, and probably someone, who knows, maybe even me, might re-edit it. And there's a lot of good footage in there. You could kind of correct the story, but you know, Bezos is an interesting guy. I mean, look, he was a Star Trek fan, and he got Captain Kirk into space. Come on, you got to give him some credit for that. That was really, talk about a fan saying I was able to get Captain Kirk into space. So anyway, give the guy his due. Now this is not going to be cooked on the top, that we know. So we're going to have to do the Bobby. Oh, ow, 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 ow. Now that when you have something hot, I was going like this. I was doing like the whatchamacallit, the starfish. How does the starfish defeat the clam? Each one of the starfish's legs has hundreds of little muscles and suckers, and some pull and some rest, and the others that were resting pull, and the ones that were pulling rest, and that's how he defeats it. So by moving my hand rapidly on and off, when I was doing the hot cold thing, the ones that were getting too hot, I let go, and I was able to control the waffle. So all that only made 4 waffles. That's pretty bad. Bad in the sense that if I had a lot of people to feed, I thought I was making quite a lot there, but turns out I wasn't. So this is just going to be a scrap waffle. This can be for Mimi. Oh. I'll just